With a show of hands, how many of you have seen these images from Dubai last month? Oh, I see a few. Okay. How many of you have seen these reports from Bangalore in the past few months? Oh, many more. And how many of you have experienced the Delhi smog? Well, that's pretty much everyone in the audience. So the environment seems to be faring very badly in the recent past. We are in the middle of an ecological crisis. Maybe this is collateral damage to achieve a better society. But are we doing any better on that front? Road rage is on the rise. Eve teasing is rampant. I'm sure that each one of you would like to add more to this list. It seems we are also in the middle of a social crisis. And yet I'm here to tell you why you should not try and stop society from where it's heading. And to understand why I'm saying this, we'll have to get into some physics. We'll have to refresh some formulae and equations, so please bear with me. And of particular importance to us is the equation of momentum. P, for those of you who have forgotten, stands for momentum, M for mass, and V for velocity. In physics, velocity implies both speed and direction. Keep this in mind because it will be useful shortly. Let me delve deeper into momentum by sharing some examples. A mid-sized cargo ship like this one weighs about 120,000 tons and travels at a stately speed of 30 kilometers an hour. Though it is traveling very slowly, its mass gives it huge momentum. Traveling at this speed, our cargo ship requires 15 kilometers to come to a standstill. If we apply the brakes here at Allianz in New Delhi, it will stop all the way at Allianz in TDV Noida. On the other hand, let us look at this satellite orbiting Earth. Mid-sized satellites weigh about 0.6 tons, way smaller than our ship, but they travel at 28,000 kilometers an hour, which gives it huge momentum. If you try and stand in its way, you'll simply be blown to pieces. So both the ship and satellite have high momentum and are difficult to stop. Society is also in motion. Do you get where I'm going with this? Society is also in motion. It too has momentum. Let us calculate it, shall we? Consider India with 1.4 billion population and average mass of 50 kilograms per person. Actually, I was tempted to take the rotational speed of Earth, but even with a speed of 10 kilometers an hour, we arrive at mind-boggling numbers for societal momentum. The momentum of the ship and the satellite pale in comparison to societal momentum. Now, who will stop this society? We will either be brushed aside or simply destroyed. And remember, I talked of velocity as both speed and direction. Not only do we have a huge momentum going on, but it also seems to be heading in the wrong direction. Instead of heading towards more empathy, optimism, open-mindedness, resilience, altruism, consolidation, and focus, we seem to be heading towards apathy, pessimism, prejudice, fragility, selfishness, dispersal, and distraction. Is there no hope then? Are we all doomed? Should we just accept our fate? Of course not. As always, a good idea comes to our rescue. Presenting the trim tabs. What are trim tabs, you ask? Let us understand this using a modern passenger jet. The engines of the jet produce thrust. Without thrust, the plane cannot fly. The engines contribute to the speed component of velocity. And the wings produce lift, which along with the thrust produced by the engines, allows the plane to defy gravity. The wings have movable surfaces that are collectively called, you guessed it right, trim tabs. They are the ailerons, the rudder, and the elevator. Trim tabs are used to change the direction of the plane. They provide the directional component of velocity. So when the plane is flying at 900 kilometers an hour, the still wind outside the plane is perceived as headwinds by the plane and those sitting inside it. But they work only when the plane is traveling at great speed. They work only if the trim tabs are attached to the plane. So remember our cargo ship, which took 15 kilometers to come to a standstill all the way in Noida? It can be turned around 180 degrees in less than half a kilometer using a trim tab. Isn't this fascinating? So all we need to do is identify the strongest headwinds in society and use its own forces to bring about change. This is a very counterintuitive response. And I'm not the first person to talk about trim tabs. Buckminster Fuller has famously said, call me a trim tab. Malcolm Gladwell and Margaret Mead have both talked of small actions having huge impact. But they all talk of individual actions. They consider each of us to be a trim tab. In effect, they are saying that if each one of us save 1 drop of water a day, humanity will save 400,000 liters of water daily. But I want to look at it differently. I argue that if society is moving towards desiring more comfort, more convenience, more consumption and polarization, in other words, if these are the headwinds, let us use these forces to bring about positive change rather than trying to nudge people towards less comfort, less convenience, less consumption and so on. So in other words, when I see that my kids are attracted to the internet on the phone, I don't stop them from using the phone. I use that very own attraction for a positive outcome. When I see that students are unable to focus because they are distracted, I start thinking of a pedagogy of distraction. When relatives in my WhatsApp group take a hardline religious position, I like to use the same religious scriptures to counter them. When colleagues at my university are apprehensive about the role of artificial intelligence in education, I talk of the importance of apprehension in education. You see what I did there? I don't talk of the positives of artificial intelligence. I rather talk of the role of apprehension in education. Now, all of these are ideas. Ideas are hazy, they are not solutions, but ideas force us to be creative. And as I see around in this audience, I see a lot of creative and intelligent people who can take this idea much further than me. All I wish to do is plant a germ of idea in all of you. And this, my friends, is why I propose that we do not try and stop society from where it's heading. Thank you.